Oh yeah, pipe smokers. Yeah, it's the 26th of May 2025, and today is Memorial Day, and in reverence to that, I'd like to have a Memorial Day smoke together. Some of you are going to be barbecuing and doing different family activities. You might not see this till late tonight or tomorrow, but I'm doing the video this afternoon. So grab your favorite pipe, grab your favorite blend, and grab your favorite beverage. It's too early for me to grab a beverage. I think it's only like 10 a.m. in the morning. And part of this is going to be dedicated to my dad. So, yeah, so what are we going to smoke? Yeah, I'm going to smoke a Bandito Cigarello. Uh, and these are made in Honduras. They're 32 gauge. Mark Hill will be like, Paul, why do you keep them in a mason jar? They're supposed to have a Bevito pack in there or whatever. They do just fine in here. Okay, put them in there when they're new. And these are from 10 of 2021, which I don't know, that makes them what, 3.5 years old, something like that. Let's start something on fire. Mm-hmm. You hear that meow? The cat wants back in. We'll be right back in a nanosecond. All these Bandito cigars made in Honduras, 32 gauge. Yeah, they mellowed out good. So, what is Memorial Day? A lot of people think it's a day to go to the beach. It's a day to get together for a family barbecue. But that's not what it's about at all. It's about honoring our veterans in all the different wars. That's what Memorial Day is about those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and were killed in action uh, at 18, 19, 20 years old. And for those who served. And yes, Brandy Nyberg, I inhale these. Mm-hmm. They're smooth enough. I can do that. So I want to introduce you to my father, Staff Sergeant James William Gilson, who was an Army drill instructor. That's him right there. And he would have been in his 40s there. And he wasn't my birth father, but he adopted all four of us kids when he married my mom. So he's my dad. He's since passed on. And he was an Army drill instructor. The guy just commanded respect. U.S. Army, 1962. Army Reserves, 1962 to 1968. Military service, U.S. Army drill instructor, E6, U.S. Army Reserves, Light Weapons Infantrymen. That was my dad in his older years, shortly before he passed. Kind of looks like Clint Eastwood. Kind of the guy you wouldn't want to mess with on the streets, okay? And this was given to me at his funeral. And you can see him here as a young man. He was a very good-looking young man. Extremely good-looking young man. And he had charisma and so forth. And here he is down here. As an older man, him and my brother-in-law were driving through the desert in Boise, Idaho. They came across this old couch in the desert, and my dad actually posed for this picture. He says, "Oh, let's pull over here. I want to take a little rest." And my brother-in-law took this picture of him. Yes. But that was a guy you did not want to mess with. Look at that man right there. He always carried a .45 caliber Colt on him, always. And even though he wasn't my birth father, he's my dad. He loved me. He did a service for this country. I've got his burial flag that was presented to my mom, and she wanted me to have it. I have his ashes. When I get to my new home, I'm going to figure out and talk to my mom what I should do with his ashes. I'm thinking, he liked gardening with my mom, so maybe we'll till his ashes into the ground and grow some good tobacco. I think that he'd probably like that idea. So yeah, these are the people. My father wanted to go to Vietnam, and they said, "Sergeant Gilson, there is no way that we are sending you to Vietnam." And he said, "Why? I want to go fight for my country." Back then, they believed in doing that, even though it was a total political war. But it wasn't the fault of, our soldiers. Our soldiers had fathers that were in World War II that actually fought for a cause. And they said to him, "Jim, you're a good trainer. We need you to train these young men to go to Vietnam. We need you here stateside." And he fought them. He's like, "No, I want to go." And they said, "Nope. You're going to train these boys to survive in Vietnam and bring them home." So while many of you are having parties and many of you are grilling out, if you can hear the sound of my voice, just remember really what Memorial Day is about. It's about our fallen soldiers. It's about our soldiers that went and fought on behalf of our country, whether the politicians were right or wrong. I'm not going to get into that. They went because the country called them. There was a lot of guys, instead of getting drafted, that just went down and signed up and volunteered. they could have gone to college or whatever, and then they would be exempt. They didn't want to do that. And I have a very good friend of mine. He's a Vietnam veteran that did 4 tours, and he's like, all the guys that I was with, instead of being back home, going to college, chasing girls, driving fast cars, and having fun stateside, we chose to go over to hell in Vietnam. And he told me many stories about Vietnam, his 4 tours, and I respect him a lot. But that's a guy that you'd never want to mess with. He's almost 80 years old in that picture. You would not want to mess with that guy. He's so much, in his older age, he so much reminded me of Clint Eastwood, the actor. And I don't know what Clint's like in real life, but I know what my father was in real life. He was somebody that you did not want to mess with. And, he never raised his voice or anything. He'd just be like, this is the way it is. And he'd give you that stare. This is the way it is. And that was that. He was a pastor. He just commanded respect in the community by the way he lived his life in a good, clean way. And he was an honorable, very honorable man. I miss him, but I know where he is. He's in heaven. So, yeah, when you're cooking those steaks up, or the barbecued chicken, or whatever you're cooking, enjoy your day, because this day is provided by men like this. Your day off today is provided for men like this that should be honored. I always honored my father. I've watched a lot of stories about the Vietnam vets, and the World War I vets and the World War II vets. They came home to a party. All right. Vietnam vets, because there was so much anti-war stuff going on, and instead of focusing on our soldiers, they should have focused it on our government, but they didn't. These men came back from overseas after serving 12 months in the jungle, all right, getting their asses shot off. And they were called baby killers. They were spit upon. They were treated horrible. I can't even imagine that. We lost over 58,000 men in Vietnam, just killed in action. But how many did we lose to, they came home and they weren't accepted, and they turned to drugs, alcohol, suicide. We've probably lost 10 times that from drug abuse, deaths, alcohol abuse, deaths, and suicide. So when you're eating your steak today, or your barbecued chicken, or your barbecued ribs, or whatever you're doing, remember guys like that. Those are the real heroes, and that's why you have a fucking day off today. Anyways, I'm Paul the Pipe Guy. Happy Memorial Day. Yeah. I'm not going to do anything special. I might make a couple cheeseburgers, on the stove. Got to clean my shed out today. And then I'm going to have a beer. Yeah. Paul the Pipe Guy, over and out.